Huh?
You froze there for a minute.
Oh, with the recent election of our new party chairman, what direction do you see the party going in now?
Well, Chris, I served on the state executive committee, and I was very pleased with John Wall. I thought he did great bringing President Trump to Alabama twice, one in Coleman, one in Montgomery. He brought Laura here, Trump, Eric's wife, and John was really involved with ballot security to make sure they didn't steal any votes during the presidential election. He did a great job. But he's now moved on to run for lieutenant governor, and we got a state senator running, Stead Hagen. Isn't that how you pronounce
I
it?
think it's Sted Hagen.
Stead Hagen, but he's a great guy. Scott's a great guy. He's going to continue to build and strengthen the Republican Party. I like him. He's a staunch conservative, and he's always got we the people in his heart. So I think he's going to do great.
Perry, we've had challenges against Tuberville and Walls residency. The steering committee has rejected those. Do you think that could come back and bite either of those candidates if they're the nominee in the fall?
I don't. What happened? Use microphone, camera.
Christopher, are you still hearing us?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay.
I can still see you too.
Okay.
Okay. We're working. That's it.
All right. Do you want me to respond since he can see me?
Yeah.
All right, Chris, the bottom line is Coach Tuberville. I'm crazy about Coach. He two of my boys played football at Auburn. Perry the third, he was a slot running back. He's an orthopedic surgeon now, and Davis, he played 1 year for Tuberville, and then Chiswick came in and he played fullback, and they won the national championship. But we've always been crazy about Coach. He's always been good with kids. He's a realist. He understands people. He's been in all these homes where caving in, and he understands we the people. So I'm excited about him. As far as challenges, I don't think so. Coach is very popular in Alabama. If there was a problem with him being out of state, I think somebody would have said that during his U.S. Senate race. I don't see that as a problem at all. I've talked to him. He said his lawyers are very clear that he's an Alabama resident. As far as John Wall is concerned, the Secretary of State at the time said he was good, that he had voter ID and he was a valid voter. I just think it's political time, and people are going to politicize any issue they can to try to create some kind of controversy and support for themselves. But I don't see that happening. Coach Tuberville is probably one of the strongest senators that has stood up for Donald J. Trump, one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history. John Wall has done a great job promoting President Donald J. Trump. So to answer your question, Brandon, I don't see that as an issue at all.
Well, Mr. Hooper, regarding some of the ballot challenges, especially with the sore loser law, obviously uh, Pastor Odell broke that, but the other ones, you know, Jesse Battles, he worked, I think, with an independent campaign, and then there was some lady that voted in a Democratic primary, um,
That was
and
Miss
then the
Ross.
other gentleman, huh?
Miss Ross.
Yeah, I couldn't remember her name. And
Louisiana, something like that.
then the other guy, I can't remember drawing a blank for him. He served as a House member
Doc
from
Mancuso.
yeah from
He served with me in
90.
the legislature when I served 5 terms in the House,
Yeah.
and he served with me. Yes, sir.
So what was the part? What was the reasoning for removing these people off the ballot? Because it goes
That's a
past the
good
time frame.
question. That's to me, that's probably a due process issue because the state executive committee wrote a bylaw saying 6 years, and a lot of them have just said, well, we can just make the law any way we want to, but good, better, and different, whatever you said about Jeff Sessions, he'd always speak on the letter of the law. And sometimes we got candidates and we got political people who don't pay attention to those kind of things. But I think it may not, I think all this is going to come back and haunt those people on the steering committee and not the candidates. Somebody told me, and I don't know this for a fact, you may correct me, Brandon, but that Young Battles guy, he's got 3,000 signed petitions in his district. That's pretty strong. I don't know if I've ever heard that large of amount of people signing, but I think, Chris, one of the things, and I've tried to tell Brandon this, I was elected in the legislature back in 1983 because the Democrat Party handpicked their candidates. They let Joe Reed, head of ADC, the bosses of the labor unions, and the plaintiff trial lawyers handpick their candidates. And it backfired. And that's how I got elected in 1983, and I served to 2003. I enjoyed it. It was great. I'm enjoying my life more now. Said I can just help people. And then if you remember in 1986, the same thing happened to Charlie Graddick, who was the attorney general and was a conservative, and they kicked him out after we, the people, voted for him. So I don't want to see those things happen to the Alabama Republican Party. And one of the things that I'm going to talk to Scott about is to try to change things with the steering committee and get back to in the Ronald Reagan era, where you encourage people to be a Republican if they're for less taxes, less regulations, the free enterprise system, and a strong military. And bottom line is, those are the things that we stand up for, God and country. And that's what we should go back to, instead of having a small group saying, well, Chris, you're not a good enough Republican, and I don't care if it's 6 or 10 years, we just don't like you and we don't think you should be a Republican. That's wrong. And we got to change that.
Harry, most of the audience aren't exactly sure who the steering committee is
Okay.
and who the executive committee is and how this chairman was elected. Could you go through that and explain who are the two different groups and how this election was handled Saturday?
You're exactly right, Brandon, and I apologize for not explaining that. But there's a large group in Alabama, close to 400 members that are Republicans that serve on the Alabama Executive Committee. I'm one of those members. But then there's a steering committee, which is made up of what, 18, is it?
21.
21. There's 21 members. Some are like young Republicans that are appointed that serve on there. There's a minority leader that serves on there. And then chairman of their congressional districts that serve on there. And it makes up it makes up 21. And that's who has come up with some of these, taking the rule of 6 years of some Republican. If they hadn't been the staunch Republican, they've been supporting liberal things. Then after 6 years, as long as they're a Republican, then that's what the state executive committee passed, that stuck with the 6 years. Well, what the steering committee done is said, no, we don't care what it's 6 years. We're just going to decide on our own what the rules should be. Well, that's wrong. And so that's my point. I'm going to meet with Scott and try to see if we can find a way to change that, to get it back to those kind of things, encouraging people to be a Republican. And if you don't like some Republican that has decided to go left, well, you can beat them at the ballot box, run against him, find a candidate. But we don't need to be in a position to just hand pick candidates. You're taking away that from we the people. And I'm very much against it. And I think Scott, knowing him, he's going to find a way to bring sanity to this state steering committee and do some good things. Is that good enough? Now, as far as the state executive committee is concerned, the whole state votes on the chairman of the Republican Party. So we all voted, not just the little steering committee, the entire body. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Chris, are
So
you
why
there?
would yes, sir. Yes, made perfect sense. So why exactly was the sore loser law put in? Because most of the days of party jumping's over with, right? I mean,
Yeah,
have we had
that's
that problem before?
a good point. You know, I just think we need to get back to electing people who support the Republican principles and don't get into deciding somebody's weak or you're making a decision on your own and not the people that you're a sore loser, or you're bad, or this or that or the other. We got to get back to the Ronald Reagan approach. Big tent. Is that good, Brandon?
Um, who exactly, I mean, for the viewers that don't know, could you tell us something about who the new chairman, Scott Stadhagen, actually is? What is his background?
Uh, Scott, his background in business is a home builder. He had a very successful home building business, which he continues to have. He serves in the legislature. He was the majority leader. He had to step aside in order to run and be elected Alabama Republican chairman. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish he could continue to be the majority leader. But now that he's a Republican chairman, he'll be a member of the legislature. I think he will. I think he's close to the people. He listens to the people, and that's what I like about him. He never forgets the people, and I think and he's got a staunch conservative voting record in the legislature, pro-life, uh, pro-free enterprise. He hits all the right buttons. I'm excited that for him, and I think he's going to continue, Brandon and Christopher, to build and strengthen the Alabama Republican Party.
Mr. Hooper, we see this year with the slate of candidates the Democratic Party's put up is, in my opinion, the strongest since 2006 when you had two legacy names with Lucy Baxley and Jim Folsom Jr. heading the ticket. Do you foresee them making a stronger showing than what they have in years past? Because I've seems to me like they've hit the absolute bottom.
Well, the Democrat Party, which is what they all sign off on, is to the left of Lenin. So that's what I'm concerned about is Democrats today aren't like they used to be. They
Right.
are way left on everything. And you hear what the minority leader is saying in Washington, D.C., Jeffries, and it upsets me for the men and women in uniform who are over there fighting for us. And he says, we're going to lose this war. Quite frankly, I know it pisses you off. It certainly makes me mad. And that's the kind of Democrats you have today. And they seem to be anti-American. And they have to uphold those kind of principles. And I don't like it. And I know Doug Jones plans to run this time and for governor. He's a proud liberal and a proud leftist. So I don't see that going anywhere. I'm not even sure who the other candidates are. You may know that a lot more than me. Who's running for lieutenant?
Ron Sparks is coming back.
Ron Sparks, I will say, is the only guy probably that would buck the Democrats' system. But that's Ron. I've tried to encourage him to run as a Republican because he shares a lot of my conservative views. But outside Ron,
Well, they have Philip Insler from here in Montgomery.
I wouldn't call him any kind of conservative. He's to the left of Lenin. Come on, but I just think he's still caught up into the national Democrat philosophy, and I like Sparks, but I think today in Alabama, people are proud that this is a red state, and I know it's going to continue to be that way.
Harry,
Can
you,
I say one other thing?
sure.
Christopher, I meant to tell you, I'm very appreciative of your service, and I meant to
Oh,
say that at the beginning. So thank you.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Harry, you served as Trump's 2016 victory chair, and you have visited the White House. What do you know of the president's opinions on Alabama?
Well, I don't think it takes a rocket science to figure out he loves the great state of Alabama. He's crazy about Alabama, everything from Gulf Shores all the way up to North Alabama and East and West. He loves its people. He gets excited when he meets somebody new from Alabama. He would love you, Chris. I can tell you that right now for your service. And but uh, he's come to Alabama. I mentioned earlier, John Wall brought him here twice. Once to Coleman, and if you recall, that was one of the largest turnouts in Alabama history for any uh, political rally. He had close to 60,000 people in Coleman, and it was a great event. And then we had him here in Montgomery for one of the dinners. Was it the winter dinner? I think it was uh, a couple years ago, where he just did a tremendous job. But my wife prays for him every day and prays for the family. And so we love the family. We love President Donald J. Trump. And Chris, I don't know if you're aware of this, but back in, I think it was 2019, I passed a resolution declaring President Trump as one of the greatest and most effective presidents in U.S. history. And I stick by that, period. I think
I would agree with that.
other Alabamians would too. Everybody loves Ronald Reagan and Donald J. Trump. That's a good team, right?
You mentioned Ron Sparks a while ago,
Yes,
and everybody I know, Democrats and Republicans, speak highly of Commissioner
I do
Sparks.
too. Yes, sir.
And I think this may be one of the events where somebody could actually down ballot could help somebody up the ballot. Are you concerned that in some of these districts that are 53-47, that Sparks could get enough Democrats to show up to elect Democrats over some Republicans?
I don't. I don't. I think Alabama is a Donald J. Trump state, and they're going to stick with President Trump, and they're going to stick with Coach Tuberville. I think I mean, people look at Coach Tuberville like they look at President Trump because of
Yeah.
his conservative background. And I think our top of the ticket is going to help everybody toward the bottom of the ticket.
Harry, assuming Tuberville wins the primary, well,
Mhm.
does have two primary opponents, and that he's able to remain on the ballot and then goes on to beat Doug Jones or Will Boyd, whoever the Democrat nominee is. Um, we've had Republican governors since 2002. What changes do you think Tommy's going to bring to the state of Alabama, or does he even need a change agenda?
Well, I think uh, Governor Ivey's done a great job as governor. They've passed one of the strongest pro-life bills in the country that she signed. She's brought industry here. We've created more jobs probably than about anybody in the country on a per capita basis in Alabama. So I think she's done a great job. I think what Tuberville may bring uh, is more energy. more excitement of that sort of thing. And I think knowing Coach, he'll find ways to bring President Trump here to Alabama a ton as well. So he loves this state. Tom is all about God and country, and I'm just excited for him. And you mentioned his primary opponents and all that.
He
Let me
does
just
have primary
let me
opponents.
just say this. When I was at Auburn, we all at the fraternity house, Signal House on Saturdays, we always had the lock of the year. Like if Auburn was playing like Vanderbilt, that was going to be the lock of the
Or
year,
Pacific.
or would be the lock of the year. Well, I'll just tell you right now, in my opinion, my humble opinion, Coach Tuberville's victory is the lock of the year. People like him. They like him taking stands. Some people, when they get to Washington, they hide away from the people. Coach Tuberville's never been that way. He's always accessible. So I like him, and I think he's going to serve us well.
Mr. Herbert, you talking about the jobs that Governor Alvare's created. Um, it looks like Alabama's, with Huntsville being the next exploding southern city, like a Nashville or Charlotte used to
Yeah.
be. Do you think foresee them trying to lower, like, get rid of our state income tax or grocery tax to try to drive up incentive to get more people to move to Alabama or more businesses to come?
I like what you just said, Chris. Maybe you need to run for the legislature or something. I'd like to see the income tax lowered and grocery tax is just completely abolished. And that's a good point. And I think Coach Tuberville would be one of those that would support everything you just said. We've had this conversation in the past, and you're right. We've got the Space Command that's just going to expand and be great in Huntsville. We have the Fannie and Freddie. Is that in Huntsville or Birmingham? That's Birmingham, I think.
Yeah.
They're moving to Birmingham. They're a huge mortgage company corporation. So we got a lot of things going on. Needless to say, our current automobile manufacturing industry in one, two, and three tiers. So I think, Chris, that's a good point. And I'm gonna mention that to Scott too, who's going to be our new chairman, who is our new chairman of the Republican Party. I think that's something that he needs to promote.
Harry, there's about to be a ribbon cutting up in Muscle Shoals,
Okay.
one of the largest defense plants, to make munitions, um, in this country. Um, can we provide workers in Northwest Alabama for thousands more defense jobs on top of what we already have? Or is this starting to strain the Alabama workforce?
Absolutely not. And I think that is great that this defense uh, corporation is going to muscle shows and to expand the base. Whether hopefully they'll hire and train a lot of new employees to work in that environment. And what we need to do is get them fired up. And since it's in Muscle Shoals, we need to kick this off with Ella Langley singing and getting everybody fired up. She's a good Alabama girl, and maybe bring in Hank Jr. and he'd really bring the house down. But I'm excited of everything that's going on in the great state of Alabama. I wish we could see progress and productivity like Alabama has all over the country. And maybe we'll send a message when Coach Tuberville is governor, Brandon and Chris.
Or if there's anything being done right now to try to get us more involved in this AI tech technological boom? I mean, because that seems like that's going to be the next thing that, I mean, we've not even touched on what this can do.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm involved in now is targeting waste, fraud, and abuse in the insurance industry, whether it's in Medicaid or whatever state agency or federal agency. And I'm working with Coach on that right now because so often a lot of these dollars never end up where they need to be. And sometimes insurance is paying for things that you and I despise, and Brandon, all of us. So yes, I think AI, as long as it's managed correctly, with the right people, I think it can do a world of good. Yes, sir, to answer your question.
Um,
Because can I mention one thing? Because that's what we're doing. A friend of mine has got a company that utilize AI to target waste, fraud, and abuse. And I can tell you it's working. It's working. And I know for a fact, Coach Tuberville spoke to the caucus, Republican caucus the other day, and he said, I can't wait till I'm governor to address those issues with Department of Human Resources and Medicaid, because I'm going to put AI all over them to find this waste, fraud, and abuse. So I was excited to hear that.
Harry,
Yes, sir.
Coach Tuberville and the former Senator Joe Manchin, they had legislation in the last Congress to try to put some sort of regulations on this NIL with college football that's just sort of become chaos where each team basically move is recreated every year, and a lot of it just goes to the highest bidder.
Yes.
um that didn't go anywhere. The president met with like 50 folks from college football. I know you used to be the head of the Montgomery Quarterback Club back when we had a much different football game from what we're doing now. What do you think we should do, or should we just do hands off and let what's happening, and the winners will win and the losers will lose?
Well, this is an issue that's nonpartisan, and and people are concerned. Um, and I'm thrilled that the president impaneled that group, which all of us know. I think Nick Saban is going to be a leader in this effort. And if you're going to pick somebody to lead and find answers and bring sanity to this system, Nick would be the perfect guy. Being an Auburn guy, I'm glad he's not coaching at Alabama anymore. I'll tell you this, he's brilliant. He's a great coach, and he will do a world of good. But he had people on that panel, Brandon, if you remember, the president of the New York Yankees, and the things that guy has been through. He's had awesome coaches, athletic directors, university presidents all over the country. And I know Donald Trump, when he gets involved in something, he delivers. So yes, he will deliver this. And I'm positive Coach Tuberville has been talking to him on a weekly basis of how we need to get a handle on it.
Barry, during
Did
his,
I answer
his
your question, sir? Chris?
during his time, you said you knew the president. During his 4 years out of office, I mean, once we came in, or once he came back in, it's like this guy had a plan and he's executing it every day. Did you have any idea that he had this foresight or what he was going to do? I mean, because I've never seen anybody. I guess the best thing that happened was the cheating in 2020 for him to set out and plan this, because this is just amazing what this guy's getting done.
Well, I think you're exactly right, Chris. It is amazing. His first term, if you recall, he delivered uh, on everything. If you remember, he created the
Mhm.
greatest economy this country has ever had. And give him a little bit more time, we're going to see the greatest economy again. Things are working. Uh, we're having to, because it's a war effort and everything else going on, prices of gas is up a little bit, but pretty soon, we're going to find a way to get rid of Iran, and those gas prices are going to be lower than they've ever been. But yes, Donald Trump is effective, and he probably had 4 years to think about what he felt like that Americans wanted to see done, and he's doing it. I mean, this guy, what he's been able to accomplish in Venezuela, it's like the Monroe Doctrine. That's just amazing what he's doing down there. And that's an oil-rich country, and the way he went down there and arrested that terrorist leader and got him behind bars, it's amazing. So I'm thrilled at what he's doing. And everybody I talk to, whether they're a ditch digger or a billionaire, they love Donald Trump. They just pray for him like we do every day. But yes, I think he had 4 years he just couldn't wait to get back so he could implement the Trump agenda. And he's doing an awesome job.
Harry, we've had you on here for almost 40 minutes now.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of all the questions. I mean, I could keep asking questions, but your time is valuable. Is there anything you'd like to add before we let you go?
I'd like to hear what Chris says about Iran and how Trump is handling the mission over there, and that I know today I read where that today is going to be the most intense day of striking, that we've already targeted 5,000 plus targets. We've demolished 50 ships. I know this will be endless, and things are going to be great, and hopefully we'll find a way to return Iran to the good people over there, to let them run their country and get rid of all the terrorists. I'd just like to hear you, since you served in this country and sacrificed. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Well, my thoughts is this was a well planned military operation, because you can tell from the first they took out leadership, their navy. Just then we went into starting to hit infrastructure to take out fuel supplies. So
Yes,
not only have we decapitated their military, their leadership, now we are taking out where they're no longer going to be able to move forces here and there. So their forces are now going to be isolated more. And it's going to ramp up further, in my opinion, on them, to where we start taking out the individual leaders there. I think what they're hoping is with those initial strikes, that the leaders of the Revolutionary Guard and so forth, that they would go ahead and turn on their own government. That hasn't happened yet, but I think as these strikes continue to ramp up, they know that they're going to be killed next, and eventually, in time, this whole regime is going to crumble. I don't see any way for it to be able to stay. I think that there's probably CIA or military operatives in there, getting ready to arm the populace in
yes,
case
sir.
they don't take down. But I don't foresee any way how this can continue, and I think it's really great. And I think Cuba is probably going to be next.
I was talking to somebody about that the other day, and I've heard from time to time Rubio mention that, and I know he's got that in the back of his mind, ready to do the same in Cuba, just like you said, Chris. And I'm hopeful that the good people will be able to get rid of the terrorists and take their country back. I feel like that will happen, and we just constantly keep them in our prayers. I think Israel probably will help a lot in that effort too, probably more than the U.S. when that happens. I think it appears to me we're taking out all the equipment, the military explosives, the ballistic missile areas, and all that sort of thing, and that Israel, through their leadership, once that takes place, and there's just some bad people hanging around, I think that's when Israel is going to unleash and kick ass and take names.
And I
So
think it's
I'm
part of a
excited
broader
about
strategy.
America. Yes,
And I
sir.
think it's part of a broader strategy too. You know,
Mm.
I know people hate the term regime change, but I believe it is regime change, but not so more like what Bush did, where we're going to send 150,000, troops in there, but enabling the people to make regime change in some of these countries that have been the bad players, like Iran, I don't know how far he's going to go in the Middle East. And then, can you imagine what kind of country
Yes, sir.
Cuba would be with the investments they would get in just a few years they were not a communist regime?
I know it. My parents used to go to Cuba all the time. They loved it, and it's just, um, I just think that would be unbelievable, unbelievable. And it's right there, right in our, and uh, I've heard talk about it. I think that's probably next on the agenda, Chris.
Yeah, I agree totally.
You got another question, Brandon?
No, I had my last question a minute ago. Are we done now, Christopher?
Yeah, that's all the questions I had. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today. I learned a lot.